The wind detonates and swallows the sound of his boots. The camera tracks an alpinist on the descent from Everest, red jacket glazed in ice, goggles cracked, beard turned white with crystals. To the right, a line of prayer flags vanishes into the fog. To the left, the drop is nothing but a gray void. The radio clipped to his shoulder crackles, then dies. Up above, shadows of ropes get lost, and the team's pinpricks of light blink out like fireflies going dark. Snow turns to needles. The lens shakes with every gust. He tries to clip his carabiner to a fixed line, but finds only a snapped section whipping in the wind. The cylinder gauge shows the needle nearly at zero. A faint alarm chirps inside his mask. He crouches, yanks his collar up, lifts his face into the white, and keeps moving. The ground gives way. A sharp, dry crack. The camera drops with him and stops with a violent jolt. He's left hanging, half his body inside a narrow crevasse. The ice groans like crushed glass. His right leg is trapped, crushed between rock and a frozen wall. He tries to pull free, hacks with the axe, shoves with his knee, and only tears off shards that tumble into the darkness. The wind sounds far away now, muffled by the cut of ice. The headlamp paints the walls blue and gleaming, and his breath blooms into clouds. He shrugs off his pack, pulls out a phone, and records. The screen shows time, battery, no signal anywhere nearby. A nearly empty canteen clinks. A pendant with a crumpled photo drops against his chest, wet with ice. The oxygen fails. Frost packs into the mask. He opens his inner pocket and reveals a short metal blade, already marked with dried blood from some old cut. The camera tightens on the knot of his trapped leg, the sliver of space, and the trembling fist that turns the blade toward his own ankle. The blade hovers millimeters from the boot, glinting under the lantern's cold beam. The camera shakes with his gloved hand. Outside, the wind is a distant roar, as if the mountain were on the other side of a thick door. In here, sound becomes something else. Ice grinding slowly, breath bursting against the plastic of the mask, tiny particles falling and clicking against rock with a dry tick. The climber is stuck in an impossible position, half his body out, half swallowed by the narrow crevasse. His torso twists slightly to the side, his left shoulder crushed against the blue wall. His right arm keeps the ice axe buried, the blade sunk like an anchor. His right leg is trapped at the tightest point, fabric compressed, boot wedged, knee with no room. His black pants look stitched between ice and stone. The oxygen mask is dirty with snow on the inside. With every exhale, vapor turns to crystals along the rim, building a crescent of frost. The cylinder on his chest beeps weakly and irregularly. The gauge is still there, trembling near zero. He swallows hard. The movement is tiny but visible in the strained neck. The hand with the blade lowers slowly, touching the leather of the boot. The tip scrapes, making a thin sound. He stops. The camera tightens on his eye behind the cracked goggles. The pupil wavers. The lid flickers fast, as if every second has weight. Instead of cutting, he pulls the blade back for a moment and grips it harder. The hand returns to the ice, searching for purchase. He stretches, tries to gain leverage with his shoulder, hauls his body upward, and the ice answers with a low snap, a warning. The leg doesn't move a millimeter. His knee bangs rock. He blasts out a short breath that fogs the lens. The radio is still clipped to his shoulder. He tries to press the button through the thick glove. Nothing. He taps it with 2 fingers like he can wake a heart. The radio hisses for half a second, then dies again. He looks at the phone. It's in his left hand now, the screen glowing with that cold light. The camera catches the reflection on the ice. Low battery, no signal. He brings it to the mask and records, his voice muffled by plastic but sharp enough to cut the silence. If anyone hears this, I'm down. I'm stuck in a crevasse. South side. I can't see the route. My leg is trapped. Oxygen is almost gone. He pauses, takes 2 breaths, shorter. The lantern wobbles as his body trembles. Don't come back for me. Not in this weather. He ends the recording with a quick tap. Even through the glove, his finger shakes. The phone goes back into the chest pocket, but he doesn't zip it shut. The camera catches the crumpled photo pendant in the same spot, stuck with ice, tapping lightly against the fabric when he moves. His pack is snagged on a ledge below, hanging by its straps. He needs it. Does he let go of the axe for even half a second? No. His right hand clamps the shaft harder. The camera follows his gaze downward, measuring distance and risk. He moves slow and deliberate. He unclips a carabiner from his harness, the metal flashing. It swings and taps the ice. Clink. He hooks the edge of one strap on the pack, the same strap keeping it caught, and drags it toward him with the tip of the axe like he's fishing. The strap slides, slips, snaps back. He tries again. The wind outside surges. A handful of snow spills through the opening and spirals down, dancing in the lantern beam. Flakes smack his face and stick to the mask. He blinks hard, shakes his head, and goes back to fishing the pack. On the third try, the strap comes. With stiff fingers, he clips the carabiner onto it and locks the other end to his harness near his waist. A simple improvisation, but it gives him stability. If he slips, the pack won't vanish deeper. He hauls the pack closer, inch by inch, like he's dragging a body. Fabric scrapes ice. The dangling carabiners tap and send back a short echo. When it reaches the wall near his chest, he yanks the zipper open and shoves his hand inside. The camera only sees what he pulls. The nearly empty canteen, sloshing with a depressing rattle, an extra strap, and a short piece of rope stiff with ice. Nothing miraculous, just tools that, in here, become life. He brings the canteen to the mask and tries to drink. The water won't come. He forces it, shakes it, and a single drop appears at the rim, freezing almost instantly. He doesn't push it. He caps the canteen and stows it again, like every drop has value. The blade returns to his left hand. He doesn't cut his ankle. Not yet. He tries first what still makes sense. Freeing the leg with pressure, with space, with leverage. He drives the axe deeper into the wall to lock his body. With the free hand, he grabs the strap and tries to feed it under the trapped leg, or tries to. There's no room. He works it between ice and fabric, and the ice bites down on the strap. He yanks hard, it jams. He stops before it snaps. He switches strategy. He loops the strap around the axe handle and tries to make a support point so he can pull himself up and take weight off the leg. He lifts himself by his arms like a pull-up, shoulders trembling. His body rises a few inches. The ice groans. The leg, still trapped, feels like it's still carrying some of the load anyway. A sound rips out of him, muffled by the mask, a short grunt. The camera catches the vein bulging at his temple, sweat freezing on his skin. He tries to rotate his hips. The crevasse is too narrow. His red jacket scraping the ice makes a harsh rasp. He pushes at the knee with his hand, but the boot won't budge. Just a crack inside the ice and a tremor that climbs the wall. The lantern beam dips and lights the exact point where his leg is trapped. Blue ice pressed against dark rock. Barely any gap. The camera gets close enough to see crushed fabric and a fine line of ice glued to the boot. He presses the blade there, not to flesh, but to the ice around it. Scrapes. Tries to chip. The blade taps and rebounds, the metal vibrating. He changes the angle and hits again with his fist. The sound is sharp, but the ice only flakes, and the flakes fall. The mask beeps more insistently. With every beep, the tension in his face shifts. Brows tighter, eyes harder, breaths shorter. He doesn't speak. He just works. For a moment, he rests his forehead against the ice wall. The camera shows the cracked goggles pressed to the blue, the fracture line painfully clear. His breath hits the ice and leaves a smear that freezes in seconds. He lifts his head immediately like he can't afford even 1 second. Does the phone vibrate? No. Nothing vibrates. Only silence. He grabs the radio again and presses the button. A thin thread of hiss appears, like an insect trapped in a bottle. Mayday. Mayday. He tries, his voice muffled, failing with the cold. The radio gives him only static. He switches to the phone, records again, now more direct, no time left for explaining. "This is not a rescue call. This is a record. I don't know the exact coordinates. I'm below the route, death zone. If you find this, tell my family I fought." He stops the recording with a quick, almost violent tap, stows the phone. The camera tilts up to the opening above, a white circle, the storm passing like smoke. Flakes drift in and out. For 1 second, you can see the mountain's edge. The next, everything disappears. He goes back to the blade. This time, the camera catches the choice clearly. He doesn't aim for the ankle. He aims for the boot. He slides the blade along the side, hunting the seam, the weakest point. The glove slips on the metal handle. He adjusts his grip. He cuts, not like a movie. Short, repeated, stubborn strokes. The sound is a muted scrape, more fabric and leather than flesh. He pulls with the other hand to make space. The leather fights back. The cold makes everything rigid. He stops for a second, breathes, then tries again. The camera tightens on his hand. His fingers shake, and the blade nearly drops. He recovers, keeps going. As he cuts, the mask starts to fail for real. The beeping turns into a long, mournful whine, and then silence. The oxygen doesn't flow the way it should anymore. His breathing turns dry, heavier, like the air is farther away. He pulls the mask off for half a second, just enough to gulp air directly, and the cold hits like a punch. His lip goes pale instantly. He slams the mask back on like he touched fire. He looks at the cylinder. The needle is finished. The indicator bottoms out. Without a word, he unseats the cylinder with a trained motion, fast fingers despite the ice. He tries to switch it. There isn't another. He seats it again, as if reseating it could create air. Now it's only what's left inside the hoses and inside his lungs. He turns back to the boot, more urgent. The blade tears through a layer. A piece comes loose. Small, but it comes loose. He yanks and rips it free. The sound of fabric tearing echoes briefly in the crevasse. He shoves his hand into the cut and tries to pull his foot. It won't come. The foot feels glued. He pulls with both hands and his body swings. The axe holds, for now. Ice above snaps and a bit of snow drops and smacks his face. He freezes mid-motion for a second, motionless, listening. Nothing gives. He goes back to work. He grabs the short rope from the pack, loops it under his hip, and tries to use it like a sling to keep his torso steadier without burning his arms nonstop. He clips one end to the harness and tries to anchor the other into the ice with the axe, but there's no piton, no safe point. He improvises by tying the rope to the buried axe and to the harness, creating the smallest tension. It doesn't solve everything, but it steals a little weight from his shoulders. The camera shows his gloves stiffening. He opens and closes his fingers twice, forcing movement. The joints crack. His face is slower now, his eyes heavier. The frost on the mask is thicker. He grabs the canteen again. He doesn't drink. He just presses it to the mask and breathes for a second, like the gesture reminds his body to keep going. He goes back to the radio. "If anyone is there," he says, and his voice is weaker now. "Answer. Just one word." Only static. He lets the radio hang. The camera pulls back and shows the whole frame. A man pinned in a blue column, a white circle above, the storm like a mouth opening and closing. His red jacket is a living stain in a world without color. He returns to the boot. With the blade, he widens the cut, trying to free the ankle from the grip of the material. With each cut, his wrist shakes more. It isn't moral hesitation, it's his body failing. He braces his hand against the ice wall, pressing his wrist to the blue to steady it. The leather finally gives a little. He slides his fingers inside, finds the interior. He tugs the heel. The foot doesn't come out, but it shifts a millimeter that changes everything. The camera catches that micro movement like an earthquake. He stops, takes one breath, and pulls again. The axe creaks. The ice complains. His body swings. His teeth clamp down. His jaw locks. He yanks harder. The sound that comes out isn't a scream or a word. It's a short, swallowed, because he has no air to waste. The foot shifts again. The ankle turns. The gap is tiny, but it exists. Outside, the storm strengthens. The opening vanishes for a moment behind a white whirl. A louder roar pours through the crevasse like the mountain is breathing. He flicks his eyes upward fast and goes back to the foot, frantic now. He uses the blade as a lever, sliding it carefully between the torn boot and the ice, trying to pry space without snapping the blade. He turns his wrist slowly. The ice cracks. A shard drops. One more turn. Another shard. His foot finally slides. Just a little. He pulls with both hands at once. The camera tightens on his face, eyes wide, ice on his brows, the crack in the goggles slicing his vision. His breathing stutters. His mouth opens inside the mask, and the frost blooms into a white rim. The foot moves more. And then, a different crack, deeper from above. The camera jumps to the wall. A thin line appears in the ice above the axe, like a fracture forming in slow motion. He freezes, holding his half-freed foot, the blade still pressed, the axe still buried. The wind roars. The crack in the ice spreads a little, and the chapter ends with him trapped between two risks: keep pulling and maybe free the leg, or make the ice fail and lose the only anchor still keeping him alive. The thin line in the ice above the axe grows like a pencil mark, slow and inevitable. The climber goes still for 1 second, gripping his own foot hard as if stopping could freeze the world too. His breathing comes in short, dry bursts. Frost thickens on the mask, crusting over the rim. He releases his foot carefully, millimeter by millimeter, until the leg is wedged again at the same point. His body trembles with restrained effort. The axe, still buried, groans low, a sound that seems to come from inside the ice. He presses his face to the blue wall just long enough to steady himself and looks up. The opening is a dirty white circle, clogged with snow. Outside, the storm surges and fades, like the mountain is breathing. Flakes slip through the gap and spiral down. The wind is louder now, closer. The crack above the axe creeps a little farther, then stops. It sits there like a warning. He decides not to yank his foot again. Not now. If the axe loses its bite, he drops all the way into the crevasse and disappears. And if he falls, there is no coming back. He shifts his focus. Take weight off his arms and spread the load. His left hand finds the harness. He locates the carabiner clipped to the pack and pulls the strap. The pack is snagged on a ledge below, and the strap is tight. He tests it with a short jerk. The pack doesn't drop. Good. Not a perfect anchor, but it's something. He drapes the strap across his chest and tries to clip it into a point on the harness that gives leverage. Metal taps ice. Clink. He locks the carabiner again, twisting the screw gate with stiff fingers. When he pulls himself up, the strap takes some of the weight. The axe groans less. The crack doesn't open further. He drags in a hard breath, relief for half a second, and that half second already costs him. The oxygen doesn't come. Inside the mask, the air feels heavy. His chest rises and falls like his body is trying to suck in something that isn't there. He reaches for the cylinder and touches the gauge. The needle is pinned at the end. 0. He pulls the mask off for a beat, trying to draw air straight in, but the cold slides into his throat like ground glass. He snaps the mask back on immediately, more instinct than usefulness. The radio is dead. The phone, stowed away, is just a light that can die at any moment. He goes back to work without speaking. With the short blade, he scrapes the ice near the axe handle, trying to carve a seat, a small cradle, so the axe head won't keep stressing the crack. Metal scratches ice with a thin sound. Tiny chips fall. He can't hammer. Any impact could split the fracture. So he does it like a desperate craftsman, scraping, opening, shaving away. His arm starts to fail. His shoulder shakes. He pauses, braces his wrist against the ice wall, and takes 2 breaths, like he's counting. The mask crackles as the frost builds. The white rim creeps up toward his nose. He wipes with his glove, and the crust breaks into small plates that flake off and fall. He reaches to the pack and pulls out the short rope he set aside. It's stiff, but usable. He threads it through part of the harness and tries to create a second support point at the axe, tying it around the handle. The knot is slow. His fingers don't want to obey. He has to bring the rope close, warm it inside the glove for a second, then cinch it tight. When he's done, the rope sits like a backup belt. If the axe slips even a little, maybe he won't drop instantly. Maybe. He tests it with a light tug. The axe complains. The crack stays there, still but alive. He looks at the trapped leg. The boot is split along the side. The cut from before has opened enough to slip 2 fingers into the gap. He tries to tug the heel again, just a little. The foot shifts a millimeter and locks. He stops. A different sound runs through the crevasse, an extended crack, like a sheet of ice settling under weight. The fracture above the axe inches forward. He holds his breath. His whole body goes rigid. Nothing falls. Not yet. He takes the phone and records. The screens glow, reflecting on the blue around him. If you're watching this, I'm still here. His voice is muffled but steady. The anchor is cracking. Oxygen is gone. I'm not moving fast anymore. He swallows hard, his throat scraping. I'm going to try to free the boot first. If I fall, that's it. He pauses. The screen trembles in his hand. I love you. He ends it and stows the phone like putting the words in a vault. The temperature seems to drop another notch. It's physical. His fingers slow. His face drains. His movements turn economical. He opens and closes his hand twice and feels his joints pop. The glove is stiff. He goes back to the boot with the blade. Now he cuts farther along the side, widening the opening. Short, repeated strokes. The sound is leather tearing and stiff fabric, not flesh. He braces his wrist on the ice wall to keep the blade from slipping. A larger piece comes free. He yanks it away, exposing more of the ankle's side, still covered by inner lining, but with enough room now to try twisting the foot. He tries to turn the ankle. The foot rotates a little and stops, as if clamped in an invisible vise. He pushes at the knee with his hand. Nothing. He cuts again, closer to the heel now, trying to let the foot slide out of the boot without dragging the boot with it. The blade scrapes, catches, and nearly slips. He saves it at the last instant. The crack above the axe creeps another inch. A sharper snap follows, louder. He freezes and looks up. The axe trembles in the wall. The backup rope tightens like a pulled muscle. He has no choice. Keep going and risk everything, or stop and turn into a statue until the cold shuts him off. He chooses the risk. He shoves his hand into the torn boot, tries to grab the heel from the inside, and pulls in one long motion. His body rises slightly. The pack strap takes some of the load. The axe groans, and the crack makes a thin sound like ice peeling open. His foot moves more. He pulls again, using his torso as leverage, trying not to kick, trying not to jerk. The space is tiny, but the boot gives. The sole jumps, just a little. For an instant, the foot feels almost free. And then the axe sinks a millimeter, as if the ice has yielded from within. His heart seems to beat in the sound of metal scraping. The backup rope stretches. The pack strap yanks tight and groans. He locks his entire body, holding the position like a photograph. Outside, the wind screams. The crack grows faster now, dropping toward the point where the axe is buried. He whispers, almost no voice, like he's talking to the wall itself. Please, hold. His hand is still hooked around the heel. His foot is half loose. The blade rests against the torn boot, and the only support keeping him from the final fall is splitting right above him. The chapter ends with the ice releasing a deep crack, lower than all the others, like the mountain has decided to answer. The deep crack rolls through the crevasse like muffled thunder. The ice doesn't break all at once. It gives in layers, like it's unthreading its own seams. The fracture above the axe stretches faster now, running down toward the point where the blade is buried. The climber goes rigid, his hand still shoved into the boot's torn side, fingers trying to grip the heel from the inside. His body hangs in a cruel balance, the axe holding part of his weight, the pack strap taking the other part, the improvised rope drawn tight like a nerve about to snap. The seams of his red jacket are glued with ice. His face behind the cracked goggles is a mask inside the mask, eyes wide, brows locked, short breaths with no oxygen left to feed them. The air inside the plastic feels thinner every second. He tries not to move. Any micro-jerk could be the last. But the mountain doesn't wait. The ice groans. The axe drops another millimeter, scraping the wall with a metallic scrrt that makes his shoulders go rigid. The crack opens like a mouth. He reacts in the only rhythm possible, fast but without impact. The hand that was on the heel lets go of the boot and snaps back to the harness. With stiff fingers, he twists a carabiner's screw gate, opens and closes it once to test. The metal is too cold to hold for long. He clips it to a chest loop and shortens the pack strap, dragging the tension point closer to his body. If he falls, at least it won't be a free drop. The axe complains again. This time, the sound in the ice isn't a snap. It's a continuous tear. And then, it happens. A large slab breaks free above the axe. Not an avalanche, just a plate of ice that peels off and spins as it falls, smacks rock, and vanishes downward with a dry echo. The axe, robbed of its cradle, loses its bite and slips suddenly. His body drops almost 2 feet in a single jolt. The pack strap locks, yanking hard. The harness bites his waist. The improvised rope stretches and sings a high note, like a guitar string about to snap. His shoulder slams the blue wall. The cracked goggles touch ice. The headlamp beam whips around inside the crevasse, sweeping the walls like it's searching for a way out. He grunts. No air left for a scream. For a heartbeat, the axe hangs useless, held only by the rope tied around its handle. The axe head is out of the ice now, swinging near his trapped leg. He doesn't waste time looking up. He grabs the axe with his right hand and drives it into a different section of wall, not like before, not with precision, but as a controlled strike with maximum firmness and minimum shock. The blade bites shallow. The ice is too hard. He tries again at a different angle, hunting a natural crack, an edge, an irregularity. This time the blade sinks a little deeper, like a tooth catching meat. He clamps the shaft as if it's the only real thing in the world. His body stops sliding. For now, his right leg, still trapped, hurts in silence. The fabric is crushed and it feels like circulation has vanished. The torn boot is soaked with ice inside. He can't feel the foot, and that's worse than pain. He rests his forehead against the ice for 1 second and sucks at the mask like he can pull life from an empty tube. The oxygen is gone, but the habit remains. He needs a small win. Any win. He goes back to the boot. The opening along the side is wider now from all the cuts. He slips the short blade in and rips more leather, clearing a path so his foot can escape without taking the boot with it. He doesn't aim for his ankle. He aims for the material. Short, repeated cuts, wrist braced against the wall so he won't lose the blade. The sound is dry, abrasive, leather splitting, inner lining tearing. He shoves his fingers back inside, finds the heel again, pulls. Nothing. He pulls again, longer. His body trembles. The new axe placement groans. He stops, changes his mind. Instead of pulling the foot out of the ice, he decides to pull the foot out of the boot. He slices open the back seam, ripping the heel stitching. The cut yawns like a mouth. He reaches in, grabs his actual heel, skin, not leather, and pulls in one continuous motion. It doesn't come free on the first try. There's ice inside the boot, like the boot has turned to stone around him. He uses the blade to break the internal ice, scraping carefully, loosening small plates that fall away. He can't waste energy. He can't shake too much. Every movement has to pay off. He pulls again. His foot slides an inch. His face changes instantly. Eyes wider, brows lifting, like he's just spotted a crack of light. He pulls more, another inch. His body sways and the axe groans. The pack strap holds. The harness cinches. He pauses, breathes, then makes the most delicate move of all. He rotates the ankle slightly inside the boot, hunting the angle that unlocks it. The crevasse is tight, but the ankle turns just enough. He pulls. This time the foot pops free in a short jump, like it's being spit out, fast, violent, sending his freed leg into the ice wall and back. The boot stays behind, trapped in the vise of ice and rock like an abandoned piece. For 1 second he stares at his freed foot. Not reflection, just physical shock. The sock is stiff with ice. The ankle is too pale. He can't feel it, but he can see it. He doesn't celebrate. There's no time. Now he just has to get the whole leg out of the squeeze. He bends the knee slowly and tries to draw the leg upward, clearing the space where the boot used to jam. The ice still presses the pant leg, but the big piece is gone. The gap opens a little. He pulls. The leg slides more than before, real inches, visible, like the world just loosened a bolt. He pulls again. The knee grinds past the tightest point with a groan. Fabric scrapes and sheds ice. He strains without shouting, without wasting air. And then, with one last movement, his right leg comes free completely. His body feels wrong as the weight redistributes, like gravity has changed direction. Now he's hanging only from his arms and the improvised points. His freed leg kicks at empty space on instinct. He pins the free leg against the wall to stabilize. The frozen sock scuffs the ice. The foot doesn't respond well. Now comes the part no one truly trains for. Getting out. He's in the death zone. No oxygen. Inside a narrow crevasse. With his body bleeding heat like a cracked cup, he has to climb inch by inch, using the axe, the ice, and whatever strength is left. He tests the axe bite, pulls carefully. It holds, but not like before. The ice is hard and slick. He needs points. He grabs the short rope from the pack and makes a quick loop on his harness, creating a crude, improvised step out of the strap. A stirrup for his foot. It's small, but it can save energy. He doesn't invent anything new. He uses what he has. He tries to place his left foot in the loop. Slow. The foot slips. He tries again, pressing harder. It catches. He hauls himself upward with his arms and pushes with the left leg in the loop. The harness groans. The ice gives a low crack. The blue wall answers with a short echo. He rises a few inches. His chest hammers like it wants out. His breathing is short and frantic. Without oxygen, every effort turns into weight across his whole body. He stops so he won't black out. The mask, more hindrance than help now, is heavy with frost. He rips it off for 1 second and breathes straight in. The cold slices his throat. The skin around his mouth goes white. He puts it back on, not for oxygen, but to shield his face from the wind and the ice spilling through the opening. The mask becomes armor. He looks up. The exit is a white circle that feels impossibly far. Snow spins outside. The rim doesn't look stable. He climbs a little more. Axe bites. Pull. Foot in the loop. Push. Up. The pack strap drags behind him like a heavy tail. Awkward, but also there to catch him if he slips. He slips. His foot drops out of the loop for a second and his body falls a few inches, yanking everything hard. The axe holds by luck. The improvised rope snaps tight. The harness bites his waist again. He grits his teeth. He gets the foot back into the loop with short, forced movements. The tremor in his hands is worse now. The glove feels stiffer. His forearm burns. He climbs again. And then, out of nowhere, a sound cuts through the crevasse. Not wind, not ice. A short, irregular hiss. The radio. He freezes. His left hand goes to his shoulder and presses the button with the nail of his glove. The hiss returns. And behind the static, a thread of voice. Weak. Broken. Hello? Anyone? His face changes like he's been shocked. His eyes open wider. His forehead creases hard. He yanks the radio closer to his mouth. Yes, yes, I'm here! His voice comes out raw, aggressive, shattered. I fell into a crevasse! I'm alone! I'm climbing! Static swallows the reply. The voice returns, still faint. Can't see you. Storm? He shakes the radio like anger could fix reception. Listen, do not come down. Mark the route. Send coordinates. I'm below the line. The answer vanishes. Only hiss, then silence again. The radio dies. The hope lasts less than 10 seconds. But it was real. And now it hurts. He closes his eyes for a beat, like he's taking a punch, then climbs with more urgency. Not because someone is coming, but because that contact proved he still exists to the world, and it pushes him. He climbs another stretch. His right shoulder fails, and he almost drops the axe. He catches it at the last instant, dragging the blade to a new patch of ice. The wall is too smooth. He needs irregularities, but finds few. He uses the short blade now to scrape small notches into the ice, creating micro-holds for the axe. Not a real step, just an attempt to keep from sliding. He climbs again. The rim is closer. The white light is stronger. He feels the wind pouring in, colder, more violent. Flakes smack his face and stick to the mask. He needs the final move, over the edge. He plants the axe as high as he can, drives it in, hauls hard, and tries to lever his torso out. His arms shake. His body feels twice as heavy. His right leg, bare of its boot, searches for purchase. The frozen sock skids on ice. He tries to hook a knee on the rim, but the fabric slides. He tries again, now with the left leg pushing in the loop. His torso lifts. His chest hits the rim. The ice scrapes his jacket. Snow pours down his collar. He's almost out. And then the axe slips. It doesn't come free completely, but it drops far enough to yank him down a few inches, dragging his chest over the rim and ripping out a dry sound. He's hanging again, the rim in his face, wind blasting him full on, the whiteout dancing like a ghost. He tries to set the axe again. His hand is weak. The strike is smaller. The blade doesn't bite like it did. He tries a second time, angrier. It bites. He pulls and throws what's left of him up and out. Snow explodes across the lens. Everything goes white. And when the white thins for 1 second, he's half out of the crevasse, belly on the ice, one leg still inside, the other searching for ground on an invisible surface. The wind screams in his face. No clear goggles, no oxygen, no boot on the right foot. He drags himself forward a handspan, then another, and then he sees the worst of it. There's no route in sight. The prayer flags are gone. The fixed line doesn't show. It's just a tilted white desert. No reference points, no horizon. An exit that isn't an exit. He turns his face and looks down. The crevasse is right there, open like a mouth. He looks at his right foot without the boot. The sock is stiff, white, iced over. If he stays exposed like this, that foot will die fast. His hand goes to the short blade in his pocket, and the chapter ends with him lying in the snow, half in the crevasse, half out, wind ripping his breath away while the blade gleams again, now not as a tool, but as a choice. The wind slams his face like a blast of frozen sand. Snow sneaks under the cracked goggles, scrapes his skin, clings to the stiff beard of crystals. Half his body is still inside the fissure. His belly and chest are crushed against the rim, and the ice bites into the fabric of the red jacket like a blade. He drags his torso forward a handspan. His right arm shakes with the effort. The axe is planted above him, but barely. The head sunk just enough not to slip free. The strap that ties the pack to his harness still pulls downward like an invisible hand trying to feed him back into the blue mouth. He yanks again. His elbow skates on the ice. His body drops a centimeter and locks. The harness cinches his ribs. A short, dry sound escapes him, and he presses his chest into the rim to gain friction. His right leg, bootless, scrapes the ice from inside. The sock is rigid, white, glued to itself. The foot doesn't answer the way it should. He tries to bend the knee, and the motion comes slow, delayed. Even so, he drops the leg into the void, searching for a foothold. He finds nothing. The wind surges, and the opening turns into a whirl. For a second, everything goes white. Then the rim appears again, a brittle strip of ice, dirty with snow. He lifts his left hand and pats the pocket. The short blade is there. He pulls it free. The metal flashes. His hand shakes so badly daylight trembles on the steel. The pack strap tugs again, like the pack has slipped somewhere below. His body drops another centimeter. The axe complains, grinding metal against ice. He sets the blade to the strap, right near the point where it clips into his harness. Stops, holds, breathes in short bursts. The mask is more ice than plastic now. Air moves in and out heavy like it's pushing through a wet cloth. The strap is the only thing that will keep him from a free fall, if the axe fails. But the strap is also what's hauling him backward, into the mouth. He looks up at the white circle of sky. Then he looks at the crevasse beside him, open, ready. He yanks the radio off his shoulder with his right hand, tries to press the button. Nothing. Just a blink of static that dies in the same second. He stows the radio. His hand returns to the axe, clamps the shaft hard, and then he decides. The blade cuts the strap. Not clean. The material fights, stiff with ice. He saws, fast, short, wrist trembling. The sound is rigid fabric tearing. The last thread snaps with a dry snap. The pack drops and vanishes. The weight dragging him back disappears all at once. His torso lifts slightly like someone has unhooked him. For a beat, the crevasse is quieter, only wind and breath. He doesn't look down. There's no time. He drives his forearm into the snow and pulls with everything. His chest slides out, his hips rise, his left leg clears the rim. His right leg, bootless, catches for 1 second on the edge. He jerks hard and his body flops belly first onto the snow. He lies there, stretched out, hugging the ground like it's alive. The red jacket is a stain against endless white. The axe is still buried. He doesn't let go. The wind tries to drag him. He presses flatter, spreads his arms, turns his body into weight and friction. The crevasse is beside him, less than 3 feet away. A blue mouth ringed with false snow. He crawls away from it, handspan by handspan, elbow gouging a groove, knee pushing. The sock on his right foot leaves a dark smear in the ice, a short trail, 5 handspans, 10, 15. He stops and turns his face. The crevasse is still there, but farther. He breathes, and the breath comes out like thick smoke that freezes in his beard. The world around him is a tilted white desert. No flags, no fixed line, no visible rock, only wind, snow, and a sky with no shape. He tries to rise. First he gets both knees under him. His body sways. His right hand uses the axe like a cane, trying to set it for support. The axe bites and releases, soft snow on top, hard ice underneath. He tries again, harder. The axe holds. He lifts into a kneel. The wind hits and shoves his shoulder. He drops instantly, nearly collapsing. He stays on all fours, like an exhausted animal, and moves that way. Hand, knee, hand, knee. The axe becomes a third point of contact, dragging and planting. The sock on his right foot slides. He tucks the foot and drags it, trying not to expose more than he has to. He pulls the phone from his pocket. The screen glows weakly. Battery almost gone. He records with the camera pointed at his own face. Wind noise devours everything. If this is the last one, I got out. His face trembles. His beard is ice. The cracked goggles are caked with snow. I cut the line. I let the pack go. He tries to swallow, but his throat feels too dry. I'm going down. No oxygen. 1 boot gone. He brings the pendant close to the camera with his left hand, the crumpled photo wet. This is for you. He ends the recording and shoves the phone back inside. The wind shifts. For 1 second, the whiteout opens a slit, like a curtain yanked upward. Far away, lower down, something appears that isn't white. Two thin, dark points shaking in the wind. Prayer flags, not the whole line, just a piece, but its color in the chaos, its reference. He points with the axe like pointing can hold it in place and starts moving toward it. He doesn't run. He can't. He crawls and drags himself, using his body like a tool. Every yard is a fight. The wind is at his back now, pushing. Snow pours into his collar. The skin on his neck goes pale. He wipes at the mask, trying to knock the frost away so he can see. The glove strikes and the crust breaks in plates, dropping onto his chest. A few more yards. He reaches the flags. Small colored strips tied to low stakes nearly buried. They whip the air, snapping hard. He grabs one stake with his left hand and hauls himself in close like it's a railing. He follows the line like a blind man following a wall. The slope drops. The angle steepens. The snow is uneven. Sometimes his foot sinks. Sometimes it skids on slick ice underneath. His right foot without the boot starts taking hits from ice and raw cold. The sock turns whiter, stiffer. He tries to fold the tip for an extra layer, but the fabric is already hard. He remembers the strap still on his harness. He yanks a piece of his own gear free and starts wrapping it around the foot over the sock. Quick, tight turns. The buckle taps the ice. He cinches it as best he can. Ugly, improvised, but it covers. He keeps moving. The radio hisses again, out of nowhere, a thread of life. He drags it to his mouth and presses the button. His hand shakes. "Hello?" he says, voice raw. "Hello?" The reply comes broken and far away, like it's traveling through a tunnel. "You alive?" His face shifts like he's been shocked. He presses the radio against the mask. "Yes! I'm out! I'm moving! I'm on the flags! I can see flags!" Static eats half of it, but the voice returns, clearer for a second. "Don't stop! Follow line! Camp!" He crushes the radio in his grip, like he can keep the voice from slipping away. "I have no oxygen! One boot is gone! Where are you?" The answer fails. Comes back in pieces. "Can't turn back. Storm! Keep moving." He shuts his eyes for half a beat like the snow is burning, and when he opens them, the radio is dead again. He stows it, not because he expects rescue, but because that voice was a direction. Follow. So he follows. The wind surges again, and the white curtain drops. He loses the flags for a second. His hand reaches, groping at air. His fingers catch a ribbon. He grips it like a lifeline and moves again. He slips. His left leg skids on the ice under the snow, and his body goes sideways. He falls and starts sliding down the slope on his belly, turning slowly. The world becomes white and gray. The crevasse disappears behind him. He jams the axe into the ground with both hands. The blade bites ice and locks. His body jerks hard. His shoulder flares with pain. His arms almost let go, but he holds. The slide stops. He stays pinned to the ground, breathing short, axe planted, body flat like a nail in wood. He lifts his face. The flags are there, whipping, only a few yards away. He drags himself back to them. The storm opens again, briefly, and he sees it. Low down, almost swallowed by fog, there's a dark rounded shape, a tent, or a shelter, or something like it. Not close, but real. He moves. With every yard, his motions slow. His arms shake more. His head starts to bob without permission. He has to stop over and over just to keep his body from tipping over. He grabs the pendant again, not to look, just to hold. He squeezes the crumpled photo in his palm and loops the cord around his wrist, like that can keep his hand from forgetting how to close. The wind shifts and the sound changes. The white takes on a thicker texture. He hears cracks around him, ice under snow, plates shifting, the mountain adjusting its own body. He gets closer to the dark shape. It's a tent, yes, half-buried fabric crusted with snow, a guy line stretched tight, trembling, a crooked pole, a silhouette that proves someone once stood here. He tries to stand fully, forces his knees. His body rises a foot and collapses again, like his legs have lost command. He crawls to the tent entrance, searches for the zipper. His fingers won't grab. The glove is stiff. He tries with the nail of the glove, scrapes, slips. He tries again. He gets the zipper a few inches. Snow drops off the flap and smacks his face. He wedges a hand inside and pulls it wider. Darkness inside. Silence. Still air. He throws himself in, dragging his body like a heavy sack. The axe comes with him, scraping the fabric. He drags the flap partially closed to cut the wind. Inside, the light turns deep blue. The wind dulls. His breathing gets louder, echoing in the fabric. He's alone in the tent. No people, no stove burning, no warmth, only a hard floor and snow sifting in through gaps. But there's no direct wind, and that changes everything. He curls on his side and pulls his legs close. His hand goes straight to his right foot. The improvised wrap is there, but the sock is too stiff, too white. When he touches it, it feels like touching wood. He squeezes and sees no response. The ankle is pale, drained. He yanks a glove off for half a second to feel with bare skin. His finger touches and snaps back. Aggressive, cold, instant pain. He shoves the glove back on. He draws the short blade. It gleams faintly in the tense dark. He looks at the foot and starts cutting the sock and the wrap in short strokes. Not panic, precision. He opens the frozen fabric to expose skin and assess. The skin is white, then purple in spots. The toes are rigid. He presses with the glove and nothing answers. He grabs the phone again. The screen lights for 1 second and already looks dimmer. He records another message, the camera shaking. I'm in a tent. I don't know whose. I'm alive. He shows the foot briefly, no theatrics. My foot is gone cold. He breathes and the breath rasps. If I don't make it, I'm here. He ends the recording and tucks the phone inside his jacket against his chest to save the battery. The radio hisses again, very faint. He snatches it like it's his last chance. Hello, he says, almost no voice. I'm in a tent. The reply comes in fragments, but it's human. And this time there's more than one. Copy. Tent? Another voice over it. Stay put. He crushes the button. I can't stay long. I have no oxygen. I'm freezing. Static swallows most of it, but one sentence cuts through, clear for half a second like a flare. We see your flags. Don't go out. He listens for footsteps. Nothing. Only muffled wind. He clicks the radio off and rests his head on the tent floor. His body jerks with short spasms. His jacket is soaked with melt and refreezing. He needs heat. There's no fire. No stove. He tucks the inner layers tighter, seals everything he can. He rubs his hands together fast, trying to make heat by friction. The sound is stiff fabric against stiff fabric. He goes back to the foot. The blade slices away another patch of frozen sock, removing wet fabric that turns to ice and steals heat. He leaves the skin exposed for seconds, then covers it with the driest part of the sock he can find, trying to insulate. But the foot doesn't answer. Time passes without a watch. The light outside barely shifts. The wind hits, then eases. Hits, then eases. He fights to stay awake by moving, flexing his fingers inside the gloves, rolling his shoulder, thumping his chest with a fist to keep circulation. His body shivers. The radio stays quiet. At some point, the tent shakes harder, fabric yanked by wind. He braces a pole with his arm so it won't collapse. The storm opens again through a slit in the flap, and he sees a shadow pass outside, fast, dark, close. He goes still. His hand finds the axe by reflex. The shadow returns, sharper now, a human silhouette, bent into the wind. He tries to open the flap and yell, but the voice won't come out right. He slams the radio button, desperate. Here! Here! Outside, a light blooms. A headlamp beam spearing through the entrance, sweeping the interior. The beam hits his face and he squeezes his eyes shut. A voice, muffled by the storm, comes from outside in English, short and firm. "Stay down, don't move!" Another voice, closer. "We got you!" The flap opens wider and the wind crashes into the tent again, bringing snow. Two hands in thick gloves reach in and clamp the shoulder of his red jacket with certainty. He tries to rise, but his body fails. All he can do is lift an arm and point at his foot. "Boot. Gone." He tries. The words break. "Foot." The light drops and finds the bare, exposed patches, white and purple. One of them reacts instantly, covers the foot with something, cloth, a cover, anything, and presses to shield it from the wind. "Don't look, don't talk," the voice says, hard as an order. "Just breathe." They drag him out. Snow eats the lens. The wind screams again. The flags whip beside them like an escape line. He's hauled and half carried, half dragged, the axe looped to his wrist like part of his body. His right foot trails behind, now wrapped in whatever they could throw over it. He tries to look back, at the tent, the crevasse, the place he let the pack go, but the storm erases everything. Only white and moving shadows remain. One rescuer points downward, firm, and repeats, "Move, now." They go. The last image the story leaves is simple and brutal. The red jacket still visible in the whiteout, being pulled away from the blue mouth, away from the gray void, following a line of flags that appears and disappears, while the mountain closes the curtain behind them like nothing ever happened.